Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's special edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. We have it at a special time. Solara was supposed to be on, what was it, about a week and a half ago, and it had to get postponed. The storms that reached Texas and the internet going off and on, and it was actually perfect timing. And you think that sometimes when we move things around and people are going to get upset, but the synchronicity of how everything flowed and got rearranged and the opportunity that we have to be here now with you and to share from an experience that wouldn't have brought on had we stayed on schedule necessarily. It would be a different conversation, and there's something that evolved beyond that. But there's something so beautiful about the flow and timing, and then what we do with that flow, what we take in, what we can absorb from it, and then where does it land, because it's wanting us to go somewhere else with it. It's that beautiful breadcrumb along the way that's expanding even something else, and this beautiful flow that's happening that I feel that we're all in right now in different ways, in different circumstances. So Solara is perfect, just perfect for what's evolving, at least within me right now. And today she's going to take us into the future frontiers of quantum reality design. And this is a big part of it. So this is going to be an exciting conversation. Solara's special offer, we'll get into that a little bit later, and her packages are always absolutely amazing. And of course, we'll open up to Q&A. So if you want to ask Solara your personal question, get in line, raise your hand, and we're going to try to go through as many questions as possible. But it's really important that we get into this conversation, because we are going to be talking about, for me, I talked to Solara just right before we went live, this calling of the details right now, and precision mentality and being, if you will. And Solara is going to take us deeper into her understanding of that and her experience and how she's embodying also. And we're also going to get into absorption into the absolute embodiment of genius. And the way Solara expresses and shares, it's going to be a total transmission, mystical acquisition and divine enchantment, right? There's so much that we're going to go in. And again, we're going to dive in and open up to that expression of the divine within you that you have access to now. So a calibration, an attunement, a transmission for that is what this call is all about. So I invite you all to sit back and enjoy today's show. And if you don't know Solara, she's absolutely amazing. She's a renowned channel and catalyst for high frequency flow mastery, abundant expansion, and thriving divine success. She's been described as the modern Tesla of human energetics and living vortex of cosmic magic. With a background in intensive personal transformation, integrative sciences, philosophy, and psychology, she's a visionary who visionary leaders seek to support. I've worked with Solara, and this connection that we have and this friendship and all that, it's just, again, you just can't help but to expand in this field. And I'm looking forward to y'all experiencing that as well. And Solara, with that long introduction, welcome. I'm glad you're here today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. And it was just the most sensational, savory introduction. So thank you for weaving your wisdom so brilliantly and eloquently, as always. Master of words and translation of the energetics.
Good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So there's so much that's been shifting. And for me, they've been big shifts, but they've been really graceful as well. There's been this elegance in these shifts and these transitions. And what's your experience of what's been happening since the end of last year, beginning of the year, now that we're into March?
Oh my goodness gracious. How do I see that energetic? It's been profound. It's a massive energy that's coming through that's really calling us to inhabit our godhood fully, to be the I am that I am presence of our life, and to, steer our ship and command our castle. And so as we step into the forefront, step onto the frontier of our own life, and we are directing and guiding and navigating our creation on a moment-to-moment continuum, with that arise all of our, we'll call it resistance because that's really what it is, but resistance to moving and expanding with the energy, and any patterning and programming and fears and anxieties that come up around being the fullness of our I am presence, and the radical emancipation that is accessible through that, the freedom, the liberation, but it is a massive energy and a power. And so with that, it's almost like our feathers get ruffled and all of that just gets cleared out. But what I recognize in my own journey and process is that the processing happens as we move with the current. So we're not required to take this time to do all the cleansing, the clearing, the healing. It's just how swiftly can we choose anew in the now moment to claim the fullness of who we are, to choose a positive vantage point and outlook, because that's what's creating our world, and to just shift back into that alignment and stay open and expanded into that embodiment. And so, in my world, it's just been like an ocean, right? So I'm just open and surrendered into the middle of the wild sea, which can either be a completely liberating experience if we open and allow that bigger current of self to carry us, knowing that it is us, to trust it, to have faith in it, to move and flow with it. Or it can be terrifying if we're trying to thrash and swim and fight the waves and resist. If we're in resistance, that's when we can get tousled around by those currents. So it's been this I say delicate, it's almost like silk. It's like this frequency of silk, these subtle frequencies of just staying attuned to, am I opened and surrendered into the fullness of all that I am, and moving dynamically with that flow, being present to what presents in the now, knowing that it's me presenting opportunities, gifts, alignments to my own self and meeting those creations? Or am I in a space where I'm trying to control from my, we'll call it the smaller self? I see it as when we perceive ourselves as the drop versus perceiving ourselves as the entire ocean. So we call this the small self, the infinite self, the higher self, all of this. But it's really about staying open into the knowingness and awareness that we are that entire massive ocean, and moving with that continuous expansion and unfurling, so that we don't have to go through the contraction expansion phase anymore. We can just unfurl.
Mm-hmm. How do you work with clients to have them unfurl, to get past the resistance? Because even when we think that we're opening up just a little bit, because it seems so big, but it's only like this tiny bit, there's more space inside. There's more space of surrender from that resistance. And sometimes the comfort from just that little bit of surrendering has us just gathering there for longer than necessary. And there's so much receptivity that's waiting if we were to expand into it more.
Yes. Well, so exactly what you said, it's about creating spaciousness. And there's a lot of physical, activities that we can do that support this. So breath work. There was actually a study done in neuroscience, is beautiful study. They took two groups of people. One group, people who had more traumatic backgrounds, who had a lot of fear and anxiety and discord in their systems, and then people who had relatively peaceful, smooth upbringings. And they wanted to measure the brainwave frequencies in their mind to see what would create the most rapid shift from a state of anxiety to a state of excitement. And through all of the breath work, through all of these meditative modalities that we have access to that are highly advanced and super supportive, because they shift us with getting into those alignments in 30 seconds or less. The exercise that was the most swift, we're talking within 5 seconds, that allowed people to shift from that anxiety to excitement. It's so great. This is such a reflection of the way that precision architecture works. They had them literally place their hands in the air and go, I am excited, I am excited, I am excited, 3 times, and to just bring all of their power online. And they actually measured the accelerated shift in the brainwave frequencies and realized it was one of the quickest ways. So, and then breath work obviously opens and expands our DNA blueprint, our cells. It allows us to not only receive more of the light that we are, but it allows the light that we are already to emerge from within our DNA, because it's already in us. It's in that DNA coil, but we have to allow it to uncoil and unfurl, which gives us access to our potential and our pure power. And so the more that we breathe, open, expand, and it's literally a very physical, visceral opening that we experience. It's an opening to life. I love you. I trust you. I am you. I'm here. I'm ready for this. Let's play. And practicing that stance, that positionality. And as we expand out wider and wider and wider, we're simply called to hold, not only hold that field with more consistency and devotion, but to continue moving with the expansion. So we're not pulling back and we're not contracting into the womb space. It's like we get birthed out of the canal. And so one of the ways that I love to just be with this continuously is I carve out very sacred, deliberate spaces every single day, specifically for that, for openness, for spaciousness, to practice. What would it be to be fully naked, raw, open, and vulnerable with life, to allow all the places and spaces in my being that I would normally contract or hide away from, or not want the outside world, me, to see or have access to or to touch because it feels vulnerable? How can I actually just practice breathing deeply into those spaces, reassuring them that it's safe, that it's all love. All that I'm opening into is love, is into the self. And so practicing being with that and noticing where are those places and spaces, that's my opportunity to open. And when I go into those sacred spaces, that's my intentionality. Right now, I am opening to deliberately receive the light and the radiance and the brilliance of my I am presence. And I am fully anchored in this space, and I move with it powerfully, architecting my creation moment to moment to moment, choosing the path of my highest joy and the path of my master navigational system too. And that's an interesting subtlety to get into too, with the dynamic of choosing our joy, our bliss, our excitement, our passion, but then also having the wisdom to recognize that there's certain things that our intuitive faculties are going to call us to do that the small self, as we're growing and stretching and expanding, might not want to do, but that ultimately serve our greatest good and flourishing and expansion. So being able to discern that also when we're guided to do certain things that we might have a slight resistance to, but just like working out, that slight resistance creates strength. And
Great.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, what also happens in this, and again, calling it back to presence, calling it back to that precision mentality, it's, and I've been hearing this for months now, it's so important for us to focus on the details, to really be detail oriented in all these different expressions that you're talking about. So those pieces, through presence, through the detail, instead of being hyper focused in 10 different places, really bringing in and paying attention and being with those parts, and being with the inquisition, being with the knowing, and following through on it with a ritual like type of mentality is really awakening something different in the way that we create and attract to us those creations, by being in relationship with the energetics and the intention of it.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly, exquisitely stated. Yes. If we look at the hologram of reality itself and what it is, it's a precising feedback mechanism. We call it a mirror. It just simply gives us feedback. What ripples out, ripples back in. And so we're always, so I look at data. Data, we'll call it data with a soul and with a heart, meaningful, sentient intelligence in data, but it's all data. So it's like, what are we coding our reality for as we cascade, dance, move through life on a moment to moment continuum, and becoming hyper cognizant of that, what we're coding in, what we're feeling, because it's really the, it's vision coupled with the feeling and the sensation. And then it's purely, I would call it thoughts. It's more like a psychic awareness to me, because it's just the expanded realms of consciousness. It's more of a visionary third eye energy. And, you know, combining, that's why I'm so devoted to the linguistic artistry, because it's code. We're literally coding our story and our narrative. And when we optimize our language and our vocabulary and the felt sensations that are coupled with that, what we have the power to create is just simply awe captivating. And we're the ones who are creating the fullness of it. There is nobody else. There is no grander, bigger, more actualized source than us. And so what you said about knowing, I love too, because that's really a powerful point of orientation. Just simply the knowing itself draws us back to our raw power that's stabilized, anchored, grounded, solid in the here and now. I am that I am that I am, and I am choosing my path. And this is what it is. And, you know, even getting to a space and place of rolling out all other possibilities aside from what we're choosing. And it's a lot of power to digest, because there's nothing else to hand our creation over to anymore. It's full ownership. And it's absolute liberation, because we know that we're architecting it all from within. And this is the power of these new divine human avatar technologies that are coming online for us, because it's all happening within. And a great example of this is what just unfurled in this past week, not having access to the internet. You know, and at first I'm thinking, wow, I've got, like, my heart, because I'm so devoted to what I'm devoted to. And I was like, I've got to find a way to communicate with people to let them know what's going on, because, you know, I have everything mapped out and scheduled out for these days. And, you know, after I just kind of let that go, I was like, well, when you can communicate, you'll communicate. And that's, you know, simple, let that go. And then it was beautiful to just open into the unfurling in just the wilderness, being with the basics, being with the simplicity of just having staple foods and water, and, you know, desiring warmth and finding ways to get ingenuitive with that and create that. And I had to go deep internal, and it was so glorious, because it's been a long time since I've had that much space to actually draw back into my priestess moon energy so deeply and so decadently. And, you know, there's things that arise in the mind sometimes that say, well, if you're not attending to everything out here, how will it all get done? Who will do it? Who will pick up that responsibility? Who will make sure that, you know, and all those things come through? And what actually happened was, and I am a numbers gal, because I think that, well, for me, numbers they're such a reflection of how much of my own power I'm embodying. It's just such a clear, evidential reflection. And so that whole time drawing inward and just doing power activations and, you know, receiving the self and being the self and commanding reality and just playing and having fun and going deep internal, everything out here grew more than it had grown in 2 months time within that 1 week. And I was like, thank you for this. Thank you for the reminder, because these are things that, you know, I've known since the beginning of my journey. But the more that we open to this flow and we have all the opportunities that come up and all the beautiful sacred alignments and relationships and collaborations and creations, it can be easy to get swept up in that current and forget that the power to architect is really totally, wholly, and completely within our own vessel. And that's the freedom, is that it is not contingent upon anything external.
Yeah, amazing what comes up through that. What also comes up as part of that knowing, and it's so important to talk about, because you talk about opening up that psychic awareness also. The knowing comes with being in the knowing of that information and holding it as so integrated, again, in the detail of what it's telling you. Because again, we've been for so long been in the doubt. I don't know, is it true? Can I really hear that way? Is it really me? It's all these other things. And it's so clearly for us and clearly your truth, and clearly in the way that you're expressing, and with an intentionality that not only uplifts you, but uplifts everyone else around you. And when it comes from that source of intention, the trust, the integrity of the information is so refined for you and can be so on point, even though it might be different than the way that we're used to interacting with our reactions to it and how we translate that to the outer world.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to digest and really assimilate and take in, because I mean, this is something I'll be speaking about more moving forward, but it's just power. It's just raw power is what it is. And it's literally like being in open space or in the wild sea. And we're just there and we're with it. And we're recognizing that it's all us. And we're creating every single micro nano detail of our entire reality, experience, creation. And so with that comes, we've got to refine our data and our codes and what it is that we're actually putting into the field, instead of just tossing it up in the air and hoping that an expanded universe brings it to us, but recognizing that we are the expanded universe bringing it to ourselves, and that we have that power to call it precision architecture, precisely code in exactly what we want, and to be living and experiencing. And that's all the way from tangible experiences we want to have, but I think most valuably is how we want to feel in our creation when we're engaging with our creation, and the type of relationship that we want to have with our creation, being the primary fuel of what we're truly desiring. You can have all the beautiful things, and that's exquisite, but if we're not connected to the power of our presence, then it doesn't feel quite as meaningful as it could when we're in that full connection. And with that guidance, this is another interesting dynamic I was tuning into too, because I love playing in the psychic realms and exploring our psychic capacities, how we can utilize our vision to direct and command and create our reality. And I was like, what is intuition? What actually is it? I'm like, this feedback, this data is coming in from somewhere. Where is it coming? And I just got so clearly, it's your subconscious mind. It's you giving yourself your own directionality. It's not coming from like an expanded, it's what you have been, even if it's just for a moment, something I have placed my attention on, something I have given energy to. So even the intuitive faculties are some part of my mind giving me directionality. It's just like intention works. When we intend something, we give directionality to the flow of the energy. And so we know to follow it, and our intuition guides us to follow it. But who set that command? I did, you did.
Right.
And so it's, then we've got to get really intentional about tuning into our hearts from the most genuine, authentic space and going, okay, I am infinite creation in luminous human form. What do I want to make of this life? What do I want to create? What do I want to experience? What do I want to thrive into? And what are the fine precision details of that creation? And if you've ever manifested a creation where it's got like all these beautiful elements that you wanted to manifest, but just maybe this little piece is off a bit, or this piece is a little bit different than what you were hoping for, it's refinement. That's exactly, it's refining the subtle details.
Don't you think that there is a prompt from something outside of us that goes beyond our intuition that establishes new levels for creation?
I believe that that is us. And so, and this is where the energy gets really, this is what I'm talking about, the raw power. How can there be anything outside of us if we are that united, interwoven, interconnected field? So when we...
For me, it's a relationship. For me, it's a relationship with a prompt that inspires creativity. And it's a dance with it also. So yes, it's within us, but there's also stimulations as our experience as humans and the way that we perceive. That communicates with us and interacts, and there's an alchemy that takes place as well.
Yes, I feel that is, well, it's ourself. So what we might consider to be our higher self, or our expanded self, or our divine self. So this is again the being the drop or the ocean, or being the I don't want to say that the ego self and the divine self, because the ego is what allows us to be
Right.
individuated.
Yeah, I wouldn't separate them either.
Yeah, it's just the us that knows ourself as source and that's fully actualized, fully
Sure.
embodied, fully total, it's a total and complete, and has access to all of that infinite data, wisdom, knowledge, intelligence. And so what we're really accessing is the grand um, database of ourself, and it is, we are communicating with ourself. So it is relationship 1,000%, but it's the recognition that we're actually in that relationship with who we be at our most divine state.
Mhm. How would you, and just to take it into another realm, because I want to open up, because when you said that, like something in me deflated
Yeah.
and an expansion that was taking place, is like, hold on a second. It's like pause, and I understand that yes, everything lives inside of us. We're the whole thing. We're the cosmos. We're the consciousness. We are the God. We are that I am. That I am.
Yeah.
And so that's that relational aspect that still spurs creativity. When I look at a beautiful painting or beautiful women,
Yeah.
something inspires me. That didn't come from within me. It was the reflection of what's in me that reacted to that. But there was still the stimulus. So whether I'm hearing it from my guides, the angelics that are coming in, or where I'm hearing it from within, that spark, that recognition, that remembering takes place from when inside me. But how wonderful to have all these different stimuli as a
Yes.
reflection of what's inside of me, so that I can remember saying, so that that part of that intuitive part of me can come up and go, yes, I want to create with that. Or yes, that is possible. I forgot. Or yes, that's the next step. Of course. Of course.
Yeah. And it's, you opening into the fullness of the frequency of your own quintessence, and
Mm-hmm.
the beauty and the brilliance and the passion and the life force and the fertility that is accessible in that energy. And it's almost too like we're opening our eyes to these parts of ourselves that,
Yeah.
yeah, we have experienced before, we're just remembering, or we're just experiencing for the first time. And that's, what brings a sense of wonderment and novelty to the experience. It's the way that, one of the ways that I engage with my creation in that space is I see life as a grand ballroom, or a gala, or even like a masquerade where everybody's dressed up in like all of their costumes and their multidimensionality and their different avatars and mythic archetypes. And I'm just going from room to room, all of them eclectic and unique and diverse and creative and vibrant in their own unique way. And I'm meeting these different facets of myself, the beloved, that
Mm-hmm.
energetic. And it's just always opening into more of the self and what's possible, and discovering that and experiencing that, and doing that dance, moving with that dance from room to room, from scene to scene, from creative landscape to creative landscape, and engaging life in that way, with that sense of playfulness and fun and wonderment around, like, what's next.
Well, as we get into what next, part of what you talk about is also mystical acquisition. And so talk more about that, because again, for me, that's a lot of the expression, the archetypal, the different energies that again can be stimulated as something within inside of us, but we still have the pictures, we have the paintings, we have the inspirations that awaken something within us. So
Yeah.
mystical acquisition, tell us more about that.
Yes, so this is a beautiful space and place that moves. So there's a solidity to the power of anchorage in this with our creations, because it goes to an even greater depth beyond the receptivity, because receptivity still implies a movement of something outside coming in, something coming towards me, moving towards me, and I'm opening myself to let it land, to let myself receive it. Acquisition is when we are in the full sum total embodiment of havingness. It is done. It is so. I am embodied in that. I am celebrating that. There is no other possibility. I know. And just being in the space of absolute havingness, acquisition, and certainty of the crystallization of our desire and not wavering from
Mhm.
that space. And that solidity hyper accelerates the physical crystallization of the creation that we're calling
It really
forth.
does. Well, what that also brings on, and this is so important because we're shifting paradigms. We're relieving energies that we've held on for perpetuity, it seems like. And as we get into this acquisition mode in the way that you're describing it, what starts to fall away is the need for safety.
Ah,
The bodies and the nervous system for safety starts to give way, and you open up the space for other creativity in your absoluteness. And so not having to hold on, not having to be hyper vigilant, even if you don't think that you are, you carry some of that until you have that acquisition phase. Because when you're in absolute, it's not necessary. When you're still receiving, you're still acquiring, when you're still searching, when you're not sure, there's something that's running in the background that's taking up so much energy, so much space, so much bandwidth that isn't allowing that flow of power that you talked about earlier to really just stream through in its best act of service and love for yourself, right?
yes, I'm just so lit by everything you just said, because I'm just like this, like total emancipation, total freedom. I am that I am is
Yes.
done. I am commander of my, what is there? So it's opening into fearlessness. What is there to fear? There's nothing to
Mm,
fear except for the contents of our own mind, which are, if it's not in total, if it's not the absorption into absolute genius, which is the knowingness of all as love emanating, then it is a construct. It's an illusory construct. That's all. And so we just get to become very aware of where we have created those illusory constructs, and we just get to keep opening back into that raw power. And in that, it's just fearlessness. What what would I need to protect myself from?
mm,
And the question that arises there is, or the insight, well, I would only ever be protecting myself from my own self, from my own perceptions, from my own narratives and stories. And so if I
mm.
can just let those go and synchronize palpably to truth, then there's nothing to fear, because it's all benevolent, it's all love, it's all uh, glory beyond what language can even begin to convey. Ah,
Amazing. So, as you talk about the divine human avatar, you also talk about sentient technologies.
mhm.
Tell us more. That sounds really good.
Yes. So these are all of the creative faculties and capacities that we have within our own vessel to architect and engineer reality. And so when I say within our own vessel, I'm also, the way that I perceive myself, and this is in the divine avatar, is again not as just Solara, but I see myself as the infinite grand divine self. So when I say self, and at that space and place, the internal and external dissolve into one field. So there's not even that happening anymore. It just is. It's just total isness. I am that, we are that, we are that light, that unified field of light intelligence. And so being open into that avatar, and a great visual for this is, if we look at the neural networks and the human mind, and we look at the constellations in the Milky Way galaxy, they're precise mirrors of one another from the micro to the macro. And it's the same with the patterning throughout the quantum field. It presents to us in marvelous ways. I've actually got some Romanesco in my fridge right now, which is a great fractal representation of that design. And it is moving and coursing through all things. And so when I'm talking about the self, I'm talking about opening into that big, in the avatar, being open into the infinite avatar, and moving from that point of identification and orientation, and not who I think I be as a personality, um, you know, any of
Mhm.
those constructs, but who I really be in truth. I am that I am, and then moving from that space. And when we are, and this is key, is to orient there first. Because what I have recognized in the manifestation landscape is that if we are trying to architect our reality from the vantage point of the small or the contracted self that is in lack in any way, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't manifest. And then we wonder why, what's going on. Well, what's going on is that initial orientation is required for us to manifest powerfully and instantly in our creation. And so when we open into the expanse of being all that is, and we're in that avatar, of course, expanded awareness comes online, and we recognize that we have all of these capacities. And one of my favorite technologies in that space is, we'll call it embodied imagination. Embodied cognition is another way to look at it, but imagination is a bit more lively and really true to form, because it is us, going internal and really augmenting the prismatic array of colors and vibrancy and the subtle fine micro details of our creation, and the sense and the sounds and the feelings and how we be and how we move through our reality. And we get into the rich, sumptuous embodiment of those frequencies. And by virtue of quantum physics, it must actualize in the, quote, outer experience, because it's all an extension or an emanation of what is happening in here. So these technologies, I call them inter-technologies of creation, because they are all accessible inside. So we're harnessing the power of our vision. And also, anyone who's, well, I imagine if you're here with us on Beyond the Ordinary Show, you've done your fair share of activations or experienced your fair share of activations. But that's, what that is. It's also akin to prayer or communicating with the heart intelligence directly to the quantum field. We're actually engineering our reality with those technologies. So it's harnessing the power of our vision. So first orienting to the God self, two, getting crystal clarity on exactly what it is that we want to experience and live into in our world. And so we start to define that creation. And then we harness the power of our vision and the felt frequency to emotionally anchor that energy. And then we can direct and command our reality with the power of language, which is extremely powerful. To literally speak things into existence. And then there was the word. It's just, these are tools and technologies of creation that we have, but we don't often think to create a sacred space or a ritual in our day where we're just singing or speaking our desires out loud to creation. And the accelerated effect of that is astounding. Just because we gave it oomph, we gave it frequency, we gave it power, we gave it sound. And so that reverberation, the more powerful it is, the more instantaneous the creation will be. And so
the more detailed you are in your refinement of it, the more that it gives it life, the more that it really has the opportunity to align, calibrate, and to deliver.
Yes.
It just does.
And this is where the absorption into genius is really powerful, because this is the quintessential fabric of reality. It's the eternal, everlasting truth that we all know, that no matter what else rises and falls in our experience, that eternal fabric of intelligence will always be what it is. So to absorb into that, to saturate and immerse in that field of absolute truth, and become intimate with who we be, with who we are as those divine beings. Who am I as that intelligence? And to code ourselves with that frequency. Another extraordinarily powerful way to manifest is to simply resonate the frequency of source, just on a continuum, just resonate source. That's it. It's so simple and so beautiful.
And it's a practice, and it's a remembering, and it's the courage to break outside of our normal and integrate in a new way, to break the mold of those things that haven't cracked open just yet, but that we've been chipping away at for such a long time. And again, we're in a powerful time to do that now.
Yes. And a beautiful frame for that too is we become in this process our own parent. we get to nourish ourselves in these ways that we would, like with that level of ferocious devotion, like we would a child. What does this
Yeah.
require? What do I, my beautiful sacred temple, what does she require to thrive and flourish? And being devoted to giving that to ourselves in all new ways, so that when those vulnerable, sensitive spaces do arise, they're immediately just infused with the gold light and the love, and they know that they're safe, and they open to that next expansion, and it becomes breezy and seamless for us. And we don't have to get caught up in the whirlwind of, the fear or the anxiety or the uncertainty.
Well, and the whirlwind a lot of times is caused because we're making things outside of us our source. We're making the outcome the source. We're making all these other things the justification. If that shows up, then I'm validated, or I'm loved, or I'm redeemed, or whatever it is somehow. And so we can get back to knowing that source is our source, that we are our source. And everything outside that we idolize for the sake of seeking something within ourselves needs to come back home to us. Then we can be in authentic relation with others. It can be an authentic expression and an authentic creation. Because when we try to magnetize, when we try to bring that divine creation from sourcing from an outcome or a person or a thing, that's when the field wobbles. That's when we get nervous. That's when we start getting into doubt. That's when the fear creeps in. Why would it not? We can't control another soul.
Right.
That's not up to us. So energetically, for all you empaths, you can feel this when something's a little off, it's going to wobble, and you're going to feel that wobble, and it's going to feel uncomfortable, and your body's going to respond, and it's not going to feel safe because it's going to tip over.
Mm.
It just is, because it wasn't yours. It's yours to have a relationship with if it chooses to. But that's when the one become the three. That's when the two join together as one. And then it's a dance in integrity. And it gets to flow and have its organic life without the need of control, of looking for that source outside of us. It's so beautiful.
Oh, it's stunning and so powerful and liberating, because there's no more dependency there. It's just, I am. And really what starts to emerge in that space is decadent self-love and honor and just self-creation. How do I want to innovate myself today? How do I want to play today? And the full focus becomes self-maximization. We're already masterpieces. And how do we want to self-innovate next? How do we want to, and that's really the foundational blueprint for what reality creation is. It's actually self-architecture is what's happening. Because as we self-architect and self-maximize, everything else upgrades with us. And then we just know, because we are gifting that to ourselves with great joy and devotion, the rest of the creation will synchronize to that with us. We don't have to touch anything out here. We just get to celebrate what shows up when it shows up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of self-architecting and getting into your wisdom and getting into the spaciousness to be in relationship with this flow of your own power. We're getting into live Q&A here in a second, so I've already promoted some of you also panelists. If you still want to raise your hand, please do so. Petra, to raise your hand, look at the bottom of the screen and you see this little yellow hand that says raise hand. Click on that and then I'll change you over to a panelist. So if you guys want to ask your live questions, but before we go into live Q&A, I want to share with you the special opportunity to work with Solara one-on-one through the special offer. And there's some other amazing technologies that are included in the special offer as well. So April has typed in the link in the chat box. You can take you to the special offer page. Click on that. And you can also, if you don't find the link, you can type on your web browser beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Solara24. And it'll take you to that same page. And Solara, if you'll do us the honor and let us know, or let everybody know first what they're going to receive in their time with you on our one-on-one session, and then what else is included as part of the technology that you're offering to continue the evolution of what's emerging through everybody that participates.
Yes, I'm so excited about this season. I really wanted to make it as value packed and meaningful as possible. So and you have to remember what I included in the package. But the first item is a 30-minute one-on-one intimate diamond immersive with me. So we're going straight into the space and place of orienting to the God self, harnessing three of the most powerful tools and technologies that we have to create that instantaneous alignment for you inside of your reality, and then gaining crystal clarity on what it is that you are desiring to materialize and call forth in your life, and providing you with the tools to go straight there into that creation. So with that, I have done this in my life and duplicated this process, and I've had clients manifest phenomenal things, brand new homes, marriage proposals, money, all the things that people are, really desiring from their pure heart to call in their lives in less than 30 days. So we're going to delve into those dynamics in the diamond immersion so that you're fully equipped to move forward and create the life of your dreams. And the next item is the brainwave entrainment technology. So this is powerful. These are high frequency tonal infusion. So it's not simply the solfeggio tones or the binaural tones, or the isochronic tones. It is a deeply synergistic fusion of all of these high level tones working together to communicate between the left and the right ear, and then of course the left and right brain, to synchronize the brain hemisphere so that we are connected to what I refer to as our omni intelligence, our divine mind, our source mind. And these frequency tracks are glorious, beautiful, beautiful sounds infused with tribal drums and some shamanic tones, and then also frequencies of paradise and nature and the birds. And you can literally just drop into these sound attunements and allow the frequencies to harmonize and synchronize your brain hemispheres for you. So that is a gorgeous technology I'm excited to gift. And then we also have the Infinity Collective community space, which I am extraordinarily excited about. Everybody on Beyond the Ordinary show is having first priority access to this community space. And we created it because we wanted to create an alternative platform to Facebook, to Instagram, to all of these well-known popularized social media platforms, so that we can really come together in a space of intimacy, connection with like-hearted minds and souls, and really be a support system for one another, to establish relationships, to deepen bonds, and to have a very highly curated, loving space where everybody can express their gifts, their genius. And we'll have, there's so many bonuses that are already uploaded in that space for you and waiting. Interstellar Velvet PDF ebook is in there, which is the A to Z Golden Word Oracle, which many of you have. And if you don't yet, it will be accessible for you in Infinity Collective. And then also the Nirvana Synthesis, which goes deep into the details of flow neuroscience, and we call it super attraction. But again, it's that space of acquisition and how that's all really working in your reality. So you have a full-bodied understanding of how to apply it in your experience. And so all of these different bonuses are accessible inside of Infinity Collective, as well as some trainings around reality creation. And in the Infinity Collective too, we're going to be doing live Q&A sessions, which is a very beautiful, sacred offering, because I really only do this with my intimate community. So you'll have those sessions to attend as well, where you can come and ask me your personal questions live, like we're about to do here in just a moment. And it's just going to be a very fun and engaging interactive space. So in totality, we have the Diamond Immersion, we have the Infinity Collective community space, we have the brainwave entrainment technology and frequency tracks, and then we also have Interstellar Velvet and the Nirvana Synthesis. So I believe I covered everything.
You have covered everything, and it's a wonderful package. And again, the Diamond Immersion, just the 30-minute session by itself is worth multiple times with the special offer packages. But again, these immersions also, the Infinity Collective Online Flow Temple with Solara to be offered for that way for the BTO audience. It's a gift that you'll get to renew next year if you choose to, but you have a year's worth of access on there. The brainwave technology, that's amazing what you're bringing in on that, Solara. It's so good. And then again, the flow neuroscience and super attraction, it's powerful space. Again, merging neuroscience and super attraction. And then you're bringing your spirituality, all your heart, your love, and you merge it with those technologies, because all of those technologies are nothing without your love. Your love is the key for all of it, truly. But then to have the tools to back up that flow that's streaming from your heart in such a powerful, grounded way, it's what allows you to create from your purpose, from your passion, from your joy, from your expression of ecstasy. And so to be invited into that, it's such a beautiful opportunity, really, for mastery of your expression of love. And for me, that's all that it boils down to and adds up to. And feel into that. Feel into that, and what wants to awake as you say yes, yes, yes to your love. And your beautiful expression of that, no matter how it comes out. How wonderful for all of us to receive. And again, diving deeper into that allows Solara to be with you, to open you, to provide awareness, to provide you with a glimpse of your own intuitive faculty to get to your knowing. The special offer is $197, 2 payment option. And I hope you all take advantage of it and dive in deeper with Solara. Again, the link is in the chat box. I think April's probably typed it in again, so you can find it really easily. And get on there. Super easy checkout. Most of y'all know how it works by now on the checkout page. If you don't, it's like so simple. It's not even funny. And enjoy your sessions with Solara. Solara, with that, I want to open up the queue to questions from the audience.
Yeah.
So if you're up for it, we'll get to it. So first caller, let's go to 5959. Linda, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Linda.
It's been really, really good. I need more manifestation just so that I can travel more. I have daughters who don't live
Hey,
very-
Linda, will you do us a favor? Linda, will you do us a favor? Maybe not move so much because we're hearing every other word.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. There, we can hear you much better now.
Okay, so I'd like better manifestation in my life because I have a daughter who lives far away and I'd like to go see her, and I have cousins in Texas. So I'd like to go visit them. So I'd like a little more money.
Yes. Oh, well, so let's tune into that. So what is the frequency of money and wealth and prosperity? It is, well, it's joy. True prosperity is the energy of joy and celebration. So what would it be like for you to not separate out from that money as something that you don't have, that you have to call in or manifest or get, but how would it be to have it and to start celebrating how you feel in the havingness of those resources? So what we want to do is, define that creation and looking at, okay, the money is here, the resources are here. I'm so happy and thankful and grateful and excited. Thank you, life. Thank you, self. And getting excited about taking that trip and starting to move your energy in that direction. So if the resources are all there, if the money is all there, what next action steps might you take? What directionality would you start moving in? And to start, anchoring into the actualization of that vision. I am going to see my beloveds, and I'm so excited about it, and starting to plan it and map it out. And that's where that certainty is really important, for you to know that because you've decided that you are going to visit them, that you are going to take that trip, the resources must come. And to move into it with that intentionality, because you are saying yes to yourself, you are saying yes to your children, you are saying yes to love, and that serves and benefits the whole of the self. And so it's really just owning that the resources are here. I'm choosing this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in, Linda. And Linda, for me, what comes also, and it's very powerful, and I was really called into this energy, Quite a few months back, I had a relationship with the island of Hawaii, and this prompt that was really calling me into an energy of devotion. What am I devoted to?
Mm.
And that commitment, that prompt, that we're such a yes to, that you align and you can't help but to create from that creation. It's so beautiful.
Mm.
Devote
Mhm.
yourself to your yes. Devote yourself to, I want to see my daughter. Yes. Why wouldn't you? We forget that part. We forget to immerse, and we're wobbling in different places and we have our foot in all these different doors. But when we're such a clear yes, when we focus on the detail of that
Mm.
and put our energy into that, you're powerful. Not only will that manifest, what else is possible on top of that? Right?
What other miracles can show up?
A lot. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you very much, John. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, beloved.
All right, let's go to our next caller. So wonderful. Nancy, let's get you to unmute, please.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
How are you all?
Wonderful.
Excited to have you here. What is your question for
Yeah.
Solara?
So, question, I have manifested a wonderful opportunity, and it's probably the biggest dream I probably could attract. But what happens when you have, it's also part of my partner's decision too. And I feel like I'm almost being a little bit selfish asking him to join this dream with me because of the cost.
Mm. Well, have you had that dialogue with him yet to see how he feels about it?
Yeah, I think we both tend to waver back and forth. Like I can see myself there on the property doing the work that I do. He would give anything for me, but at this point in our life, do we jump like that? I mean,
Yeah.
of course our kids are like, you're nuts.
Well, you're setting a great example for that. Living in that quantum leap is a successive unfoldment. Yeah, really what I'm hearing when I'm tuning in is it's just be that full on yes to yourself and these dreams and move into it. And when you're a certain yes and you're excited and you're celebratory about it, he will be too. And even your children will be too. You know, it may take them a moment to acclimate, but they'll come on board. So it's really about you being solidly excited about it. So as soon as that hesitation isn't there, and of course, you know, we're all learning how to be highly adaptive to change. So there's going to be moments where some of those energies arise, but it's, you know, when you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture of your dreams and your desires and all that you've envisioned for yourself and all that you have attuned to in your heart, and now your reality is gifting you with the materialization of that vision.
Okay.
Yes.
I could feel it. I just have to stay there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trust your creation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Nancy. Thank you so much for calling in. All right, let's go to our next caller. Let's go to Kim. Kim Pence Light. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello. It's so
you
good to see
beautiful
you.
beings.
I'm so excited you're here.
I am super excited. My guide said, get on your email and check it out because there's something fun happening in about 30 seconds. And I went, oops, let's go see what's going on. And boom, bam. Oh my goodness. So what I'd love to hear you kind of dive a little deeply into is the technology of focus.
Oh, yes. This is glorious. And I really appreciate you bringing this forth because there's a couple of dynamics to the energy of focus. And one of them is not from concentrate, and one of them is precision concentration, almost like a laser beam. So focus, what we are focalizing, we are creating in our world. So what that does, when we place the spotlight of our attention, our awareness on anything, we immediately start to breathe life into it, to give it energy, to give it fuel, to give it sustenance. And it starts to bring that creation to life. And what we pivot our attention or our focus away from, we immediately begin to discharge of energy. Discharge of energy. So if we're wanting to release something from our reality, that's a beautiful way to do it, with intentionality and love and honor. Okay, I'm not choosing this anymore. Pivot, focus powerfully to something new, which is what we are now choosing. So one of the ways to master our powers of focus is to recognize when the brain is in the mind or in a state of requiring replenishment. So coming into a space of harmony in the mind-body system first, kind of, we'll call this drinking from the wellspring of life, allowing ourselves to power up and fuel with the nectar of divine intelligence. And then when we move into action, we can deliberately point and focalize that flow, that life force, that energy in the directionality of our choosing. If we over focus, we start to deplete those neurochemicals in our brain and we need replenishment. So it's just recognizing that if we're not able to focus in any given moment, nothing's wrong with us. We likely just need to lean back for a moment, receive replenishment, take a break, turn the mind off, let it harmonize and resynchronize to divine intelligence, and then go back into a space of focus. So it's doing that dynamic dance. But our focus, what we're observing, the observer creates the reality. What we are observing, we are creating. So we get to become, again, bringing it back to that precision architecture, being very deliberate about what we are investing our attention into, paying with our attention, because that is what will manifest in our world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love you so much, Kim.
Lots happening here, y'all. And for everybody on the call, that you're going to want to come back and listen to the replay again, the frequencies that are running here, the information and the applications for you to dive into. Yes, the special offer is fantastic. And there's so much more there. And again, the 30-minute session with Solara. Yes. But even here, again, the richness of what's being provided and the technology for your manifestation, for your focus, for your creation, for your precision. It's right here. The replay link will go out later in the email. We'll send that to you, but know that that's coming. Let's go to our next live caller. Let's go to Chris. Chris, welcome. Chris Aguilar.
Hello.
Hi, I'm so thankful you're here too. All these beautiful, fabulous beings.
I loved Kim's question. Thank you so much. That was awesome about focus. That's been coming up a lot for me too as well. So my question, hi Solara, I love you.
I love you.
My question is basically, if you can maybe tune in and see if there's anything that I am not paying attention to, that maybe that I'm missing, or like my guides might be trying to tell me something lately that I keep seeing, but I'm not paying attention, close enough attention to.
Well, very interesting. What I get initially, like immediately, is yourself, your own direction, your own guidance, your own, your own heart. So it's kind of like waiting for the cue, the symbol, the sign, the direction, the thing to become aware of. And what will support the deepening of that information is you just putting your hand right on your heart and going, what is my truth? What is true for me?
Right.
What do I desire? And so that's kind of like the little link there that wants to lock into place, is that relationship that you have with yourself and the gnosis and the knowingness of your own heart and what is true for you. So that's the first thing that's coming up, self-intimacy.
Awesome. Awesome.
So Chris, I want to ask you, what does it take for you to get into that self-intimacy, to get into that place?
Basically a lot of expression, like dancing, singing, like really, and then going back and sitting in total complete silence with that energy moving, and just sit and just be, and know, you know, that I am here.
So
I know who I am, I know who I serve, and all that.
Yeah. So are you doing it?
No.
Why?
We had a very strange
Why?
week last week. Well, things are just now coming back to normal. So my meditation's back on point and stuff, but I haven't done the movement part because I was sore from the winter storm doings.
Well, I understand that. And
Yeah.
also, I want to get back for everybody on the call into the devotional energy. What are we committed to and why? And if we're suffering and not having that, then why are we choosing to be in a practice that keeps us out of suffering? Why are we choosing the suffering that comes of not being in that practice? And the awareness and the re-entraining the brain into I am doing something that is going to build on energy rather than depleting. Because anytime we start getting into, if I'm investing energy here, but it's depleting my bank account of energy, then why do I continue to do that? But if I'm investing here, knowing that it's increasing my bank accounts, it's increasing my capacity to be not only in receivership, but again, in the grounding it in the being, in the ownership of that receivership, like Solara talked about earlier, then why would you not be investing there? We need to re-entrain our habits and commit and devote to it and not get lazy with it and not just be satisfied with little glimpses of things being materialized and going, wow, cool. We need
For me, it's not letting the distractions. Yeah, not letting the distractions take over like that, like
all
the
of us,
storm stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have to watch the news that the ice storm is coming 50 times because we didn't hear it the first time.
I'm so thankful.
It's like we're going to watch the news to let them tell us that the electricity's out and it's already black in our house. But we have to watch it 20 times so you can give us the latest update that the lights are out. It's funny how our brains have gotten entrained into being stimulated by things that you already know. It's like, why? It's so obvious. I don't need the news to tell me that it's cold outside. And now I need to be obsessed with watching it at the detriment of being in my practice, of being in my dance, of my joy, in my relationship with self.
Well, in our case, it wasn't so much the outside input. It was just Mother Nature, like not having water, having to harvest snow for water and doing all these things that I felt like, ooh, I was pioneering.
Awesome. And that's awesome. That can be play also. I'm not giving you a hard time, but I'm using it as an example of different things that we use to offset what we say that we want to be devoted to, but then we're not.
Yeah, it's vital. Absolutely.
Yeah, Solara, what's coming?
It's just like being creation awake and actually devoting to, so we talk about self-creation, which can be, we have these beautiful rituals and things architected out, which I am master of fruitful habit design. And I'm in that space, but there's an element of like romancing our own soul, like doing for ourselves what we would want a beloved to do for us, putting on the gorgeous music, wearing the vibrant colors, going outside, coming fully alive, doing fun things like going out into the wilderness and harvesting snow. And I mean, I was so excited. I hardly had any food. And I was as happy as can be during this whole, thing unfolding, because I was just like so grateful for the time with myself and going for walks in the snow and all of that. So it's like reconnecting to the symphony of our own essence and our own nature in our own source code, and those are ways we access that through the arts, dance, creative expression, music, and also I find romance in nature to be two potent access points to reconnect with that part of ourselves when we've been drawn out for any reason or we've allowed, distraction to take root, which I totally understand, it was just a constant coming back into the now. But yeah.
So good. Chris, thank you so much for calling in. So great to talk to you.
Mwah. Love you.
All right, let's go to another caller here. Let's go to Gloria Shaw now. Gloria, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful and appreciative. I'm kind of talking about all this snow. I've been a snowbird, I think went backwards. Um, I lived a very magical life. I have been guided all my years until I became a senior citizen. And I made a move back to Canada. And it was like I was a master manifester. I had my own genie and a lantern, and it was just not those three wishes. I had all of them abundantly. I was guided and just always in the right place at the right time. I am an artist and a healer, and I had no training, and it just came naturally. But since I made the move, and I started having a lot of health problems, and I seem to be in line with COVID with a cough that just won't go away. I just don't know if it's like my teams have gone away. It's like the guidance went away. It's like that genie went back in the bottle and put the cork on. I don't know what's wrong, but I really want it back. It was so magical. I could think of something, be very heart-centered, and poof, even love. Just, I don't even meet anyone in the last few years. So I just need that magic back. So whatever
Yes.
you do, I would love that.
Oh, like you got it, sister. I love it. Well, it's who you be. And I have a beautiful friend who says, ask once and live. And you had that mastered. So it's like abracadabra. And you were coming from the intelligence of your heart space. So the desire arose from a space of pure inspiration in the moment. But what it feels like, so any level of, anything that's happening with our health is just an indication of a deeper disharmony that's happening in the system. So somewhere along that path, you simply came out of harmony with you, with your heart, with your truth, with your desire. And so then the resolution is for you to resynchronize with those parts of yourself in even new and expanded, more vital ways than ever before. But trust that you knew exactly what you were doing, you knew exactly how you were creating, and you were open to life and you were trusting life. And I was like, I see you dancing, just so vibrant and alive and carefree, and you knew, and you didn't have to hold on. You just let go, and it showed up and it showed up and it showed up. And so it's just you connecting back to that playful essence and spirit of you. And again, I'm getting what would be super supportive is to just reacclimate to the frequencies of your high heart. So who you be when you're engaging with animals and children, it's like the greatest love frequency that we all have within our own vessel. And so one of the things that I would invite you to look at, and you're more than welcome to share now, what were some of the things that you were doing differently at that time in your life? And what things were you doing that were deeply serving you that you started to let go of along the way, and looking at reintegrating those things?
Well, I know two things is my children died. And that was, I got so mad at God. I got angry with the whole world. And I've done a lot of grieving, but I just feel like a part of my heart got shut down because of that, because now I don't have anyone. And the other thing I love doing, and I did it so naturally, is when I had my business physical, when I lived in Mexico and it was physical, I had never advertised, people just found me. And then when I made a change back to Canada, I thought, well, I'll go online. All I've done is spend a small fortune. And clearly I'm not connecting back to this new modern world because everything I've spent has had zero. I mean, like my website testimonials are just phenomenal. People have had miraculous results with my healing, but I'm like the best kept secret in the entire world because no one is going to find me. I don't know how to get out there, I guess is what I'm saying. And then what I've spent to do that, I haven't had a result. And I'm kind of at the point where as a senior, I'm kind of like, boy, maybe I'm done, but I don't feel done.
Right. You're not done. You're not done. It's just bringing the fresh emergence of that energy back online. And so first I actually want to go into because this is such a beautiful, sensitive space. And I just want to really honor all that you have traversed and been through and experienced, because I feel your heart and I love you and you are so loved. Yes. And they're there with you in essence and in spirit. And what I am actually really receiving for you to actually rekindle that energy in you is to, as you used to communicate with your creation, to manifest things, communicate with them, because they are archangelic presence in your life and in your world, and you can co-create directly with them from those etheric spiritual realms. And that is going to bring just such a beautiful, fresh infusion of energy online for you. And they're right there for you. I'm just like, I feel them in like my heart. Yeah. So really inviting you to reconnect back in with them. They're there, they're with you, and they want to support you and dance with you on this journey. And, you know, with your service, it's just let the brilliance of your light shine. That is it. Shine your love, shine your heart, and just continue doing that for the pure pleasure and joy of shining and emanating that love, and everything else will take care of itself.
Thank you. Because that's what my business is called, Whole Heart Healing.
Yes.
And it's all from love, and it is all heart centered. And,
Yeah.
you know, I meditate every day. I spend myself in high vibrational time. It's just like, I don't know if my guys got their little foot on that hose, but nothing is coming through. I'm like, come on.
You've got this glorious, like Mary Poppins energy. Like I just see like dancing in the flowers, and like just to re-embrace those, you know, parts of you, because that's really, you know, some of the most magnificent aspects and components to who you are at your core, and letting yourself go back into those spaces of, it's really an exuberant, joyous, vital energy.
Oh, thank you. I had a little girl, little tiny 5-year-old, asked me the other day, "Are you a fairy love mother?" She can feel my.
Yes.
That's sweet.
Exactly.
Hey, Gloria, Gloria, I have to share with you that your children are actually coming in and saying to allow their love to amplify your next creation, to allow the essence of that to uplift as well. So not to think that it's your love alone,
Oh, thank you.
but it's the love that you've given and received that never dies. That's really a manifestation of what you're magnifying as you tap into, as you remember, as you say yes and say, oh, I will choose to create with you as well. There's a lot of support and love, and they're there for you. They want to create with you and still love. You know how to access it. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Yes.
All right, let's go to our next caller. Let's keep playing here. All right, Reb, let's go to you now. Welcome.
Oh, actually, Reb is
Well, Reb's what you have on your
oh
caller.
no. I'm a rabbi, and in my community, which I'm on Zoom most with, Reb is kind of a shorthand. It's not my name, but
Sarah, Rabbi Sarah.
Yeah, hi. That's good. I was kind of willing you to call on me. I've been on these calls a lot, and really do need some guidance. So here's what the deal is. I'm a wounded healer. I've even written a book about it. The publishing of it got kiboshed. It was with an extension of Hay House. And I have a pretty bad brain injury. I've been hit by cars lots of times and had other very near-death experiences. In 2016, after one, I was told, well, you're supposed to stay here and help with what's coming. And I've been counseling pretty much nonstop since then, pro bono. But I seem to have gotten knocked back into depression, and I'm trying to heal, and I want to move on with my healing work. And I've consulted others, and they say, you're not blocked. And then others say, well, you still need more time healing. And I was told all along I'd get some help with the book when it came up time for it to be published, thinking of getting a red light thing to try and heal my brain injury, which interferes with sleep and dizziness and all that. I live alone, work's gone away with Corona. I want to feel the connection. I want to feel cradled in the arms of the divine. I want to feel that love. My kids are way far away in Israel. And I was told years ago that one day my clairvoyance would open up like you're in a snowy cabin and the snow is up to the top of the windows and it just melts. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the work every day, meditating, energy work, eating right, everything. but I feel like I really need help to connect in the way I want to move on with my healing work, to not have my work constantly praised but not getting paid for it. This is an old history. So, I mean, you can read the energy. I don't need to fill you in anymore, but I really feel like I need help, and my mission is to do healing in the world. But I was told by a clairvoyant last week that I don't want to be here.
Let's see what Solara picks up on.
Yeah, thank you.
So it was interesting. The very first thing, the question that I was going to ask you was, what do you want? And you then went directly into the answer of the question, is that I want to experience the warmth and the love of being cradled in the arms of the divine. And so my greater question for you is, are you ready to be done healing? Are you ready to accept full resolution and full harmony within your being? Because you have an exorbitant amount of power accessible to you, because you have wisdom. You have very deep, rich, real, expansive lived experience that's going to allow you to support others with anchoring into their own unique source connection. But this is really about you stepping into a place and space of taking ownership of your source connection first. So I am choosing to not only feel loved and cradled and held by the divine, but to give that powerfully to myself, to wake up every single day, because depression, the opposite of depression is expression, and to sing and to speak and to share my voice, to use my voice.
I have been doing that. I taught a 4-part class on transformational healing, and the energy that came back to me, it was just donations, was pitiful. And I've put myself forward in so many different situations which don't seem to be working. And I want to be out there doing healing work, thinking of getting a red light appliance to try and heal my brain trauma. Is there any advice for me on how to connect more, how to find the river that I'm supposed to put my boat on, to do my work in the world, to connect with others?
Can I give you something? And let
Yes,
me allow
please.
Solara.
Anybody give me something.
I'm going to give you a couple of things that I'm picking up on. First, I had an experience about 1.5 years, 2 years ago where I was going through depression and suicidal thoughts and exhaustion and all these things. And it wasn't until I actually got my hormonal balances checked that allowed my body to get back into rhythm, that it allowed the depression come through. It was chemical. It wasn't limited belief. And I was with a partner at the time. It's like, you're not in the law of attraction. You're thinking something's wrong. You need to think above it. And I go, no, I don't need to think above it. I need to pay attention and have intimacy with my body. It's speaking to me with an intelligence that I haven't had before. And when I came through that and I had the proper diagnosis, my adrenals were shot. I had no idea. I wasn't producing dopamine. I wasn't producing dopamine. It's huge. And so when I started to get back into rhythm, I started uplifting, but I also took the opportunity of that experience because it dropped me into a level of compassion that I didn't have before. And that compassion awakens something in me, a sensitivity, a way of being with myself and with others that actually allowed me to become more receptive and that way more magnetic to those things that I was really looking to draw into my life, but I had built shields and shelters around it because I only had a depth of compassion that I thought was pretty deep, but there was more that was awakening. What also happened in that period is I started to let go more than ever to outcomes and what they were supposed to be. And I started living from my flow, knowing that I have everything that I needed, that I was using what I had, and then more would be given. But I wasn't getting, if I build this many people show up, or if I do this is my love is supposed to show up, or if I move to the city, I'm going to be in my dream home. And once I surrendered past the safety of creating those conditions, there was a flow that started to take place, an abundance that started to come in that had little to do with material concepts or money and how I'll support myself, and more of this abundance of flow, the freedom that I created for myself, because I could create anything in that moment from that heart space, not attaching to a particular outcome, but allowing the outcome that the divine was gifting to me to land in a way where it couldn't before because I was too busy trying to control it.
Mm.
Well, do you see any sparks of hope out for me? I can run a long time on one little spark, or, do you see any new partnership love coming into my life?
Solara, yeah, this is a Solara question.
This
Because I
is
just
great.
feel like, I'm running the same track around and around and around and doing my work so diligently every day.
Mhm. Well, this is like, it's really interesting in these, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, John, for everything that you just shared. It was exquisite and actually is going to beautifully back up one of the insights that I want to get into is really looking at balancing of the neurochemistry in your body to come back into harmony with you. But then on an expanded level with everything that we are desiring to create, there's often this, somebody else tell me what to do, somebody else give me directionality, somebody else give me the insight, but it's what you're really looking for is you're looking for your own essence of love, your own flavor of love, your own style of love, and to feel powerfully connected to that sense of beauty and divinity and romance within you. And as you become connected to those dynamics within yourself, who you are, when you are radically in love with yourself, with your life, when you feel free and abundant and prosperous, and in the knowingness that all of life is supporting you in all moments, and you really reconnect to that love essence within you, a partner will show up for you. It's just going to be so natural and organic. And what he's going to be attracted to is who you truly are at your core when you're in that full connection to you. So it just always comes back to self-love first in manifesting our partner. But then there's also, there's also, the self-love, but then there's also really powerfully shifting the narrative. And so as I'm really deeply receiving you and all that you have going on, there's a gorgeous opportunity to write the script the way that you want it to be, to really start looking at, well, do I want there to be trickles of abundance that aren't actually balanced and reciprocal and synergized with all that I'm giving out by way of love and wisdom and expression? Or do I want to be met powerfully in that space by beings who are ready, willing, honored, excited, thrilled to create that energetic exchange? So we really got to start looking at that new narrative. And then what you want to start to empower in your inner space is, people pay me abundantly and richly for my services from a space of true joy and true devotion and true excitement, and they recognize the value that is being exchanged in the container. And then with the romance and the love, and calling in your life partner, you have that solid, loving, devotional relationship with you first, claiming and embracing all of you, celebrating all of you, coming alive to all of you. And you will line up with the person who can meet you in your full multidimensionality.
I see you sparking up, Sarah.
That's what I want to hear.
Sparking up. And also another thing, community and energetic flow, and whether it's the community here and Beyond the Ordinary, Living Extraordinary that we have, Solara's group that she has ongoing, it's part of the special offer also, by keeping in that environment that supports and amplifies that creative space, it's really going to provide stable footholds to remember, to activate, to remember your power, to be immersed in it without abandon.
Well, I have made a pivot from my religious community because I was feeling sucked dry by them, and they admit it. And then I discovered you. I discovered Deborah Getz. I bought sessions for my daughters and my dearest friend, and had one myself and talked with her on the phone now a while. So that's been a tremendous thing. And your community, I've been listening to most of the sessions, trying to find others. I've really been working on this pivot to more spiritual community so that I can feel nourished for as much as I feel like I'm giving out in the world. But I love hearing that there are sparks opening up for me. And that's really all my heart needs to keep going. I do love myself. I feel blessed, but I also know that for decades, I haven't wanted to be here. And I've been
Yeah.
struggling with this particular healing now for 15 years.
I'll tell you, Sarah, you've been working towards finding community, and I would kind of tell you, no, I'm not going to kind of tell you, I'm going to absolutely tell you that the community found you.
Mm.
The community found you, and expect more of that. And see it, like, watch the perspective instead of you working towards having that love come to you. Relax into witnessing how it's so freely coming to you. And that's a pivot that I'd love to leave you as a homework assignment. Blessings to you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
I will take that on. Bless you.
Yeah, bless you.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's such a beautiful call. Y'all just rock completely. Y'all, Sarah talked about Rabbi Sarah. I want to say Rabbi Sarah because I feel special now. Rabbi Sarah, who's been on the call, was talking about having private sessions, right? And what it meant for her and gifting it to other people and all that. And again, the opportunity to work with Solara in a private session is just golden. And I hope you take advantage of that. But not only that, the other technologies that are offered, the yearly membership, the yearly community that's in there also, that's included as part of the offer. It's a phenomenal offer. And I recommend to anybody that they open up this quantum space and very grounded space simultaneously with Solara. So y'all take advantage of the special offer. We'll run the replay all weekend long. So come back and watch the replays. Those of y'all who are on the replay, come back and watch the replay again. You're not limited to one. There's no limit. It's abundant. No scarcity here. So I hope you all dive into that. And Solara, is there anything final that you want to leave us with? I feel something emanating from you.
It's funny. Well, it's bioluminescence. Actually, I was going to say one of the potent pieces that's included in the offering that I forgot to share about is bioluminescence. It's a 25-page ebook that goes through all of the unique constellations of embodiment that allow us to open up into that grander light of all that we are. So it's really a beautiful resource for self-illumination, and it's the balancing and the harmonization of that neurochemistry, but so we go into botanical absolute oils, all the high-level organic energizing superfoods, different rituals and technologies from some of the most advanced minds in the world, advanced neuroscientists, like rituals, tools, technologies to help harmonize and synchronize our energy. And that's a beautiful resource to have. So it's like opening into the energy, but also working in tandem with nature to come into congruence with our true nature. And what are ways that we can nourish our body and our system to bring everything into coherence and alignment? Because a huge part of this, and a huge part of directing the creation and being in focus and utilizing all the technologies, is having a clear mind-body channel. And a lot of that is the way that we choose to self-nourish our activities, our movement, the way that we, there's all these bio-optimization and bio-maximization technologies available now. And so all of that is in this beautiful resource guide for everybody as well. And just a closing, I just love us so much. And I'm so thankful and so grateful every time that we get to share in this beautiful dance with one another, and the beautiful community that you have created and attracted and manifest. And it's just family. And I'm just utterly grateful to be a part of this community, participating, sharing with everybody. And oh man, there's so much more on the horizon for us. So final words of wisdom: let go of all the needing to self-perfect and live your life fully. You are perfect, whole, complete, divine source now. Have fun.
Beautiful. Such an honor every time we get together. Thank you. It's just so expensive for me. Yes. And for the special offer, for putting that generous offer together. So amazing for our community. So thank you for who you are and how you be. And everybody on the call today, listening to the replay, everybody who's asked questions, had your hands raised. I love you all so much. It's just such a joy and such a gift to be here with all of y'all and to get to receive just the luminance of who you are and get to witness it in this way. So thank you for being who you are. I bow to each and every one of you, and namaste. And with that, I look forward to seeing you on the next call.
Love
Love
you,
you
love
guys.
you, love you.
Bye. Bye, Solara.
Ah, bye. I love you so much, John. Thank you.
I love you too.